Hi everyone, and welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
So Mike, we've both lived in Taiwan for many years now.
We have.
What are some of your favorite festivals that have kind of, you've gotten to know over the years?
Well, of course, the Lantern Festival is one that really stands out. It's so colorful and interesting. I like how they kind of move it around from city to city.
That is cool,
every year with the sort of big hall, the big official celebration. But every town, every city has their own park, covered in wonderful lights and lanterns. And that's always a nice way to kind of kick off the new year. What about you?
I've always kind of had a soft spot for Dragon Boat Festival because it was the first one after I got here.
Okay.
I'd been here for maybe 3 weeks and there's this thing going on and I understood none of it. So it was just we saw a race and it was just like, okay, this is very different to what I've experienced.
Absolutely. And it's also a good way to kick off the summertime too.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, all right, the weather's now going to get really hot and we're now in the real summertime.
That's right.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a different kind of festival. It's an Indian or a Hindu festival, and we're going to read all about it and find out what happens.
Reading.
Diwali, India's festival of light. Windows are brightened by tiny candles, strings of colored lights are draped across streets, and vibrant lanterns hang over doors. This is Diwali, India's festival of light, when people come together to celebrate goodness defeating evil and darkness. This 5-day celebration occurs every October or November, depending on the position of the moon. It marks the start of the Hindu New Year, though other religions in India also celebrate the holiday. The word Diwali means rows of lamps. The celebrations are full of colors and bright lights. Homes and shops are decorated with creative forms of lighting. Sweets and snacks are also part of the fun. On the final day, sisters traditionally invite their brothers to their homes. Today, Diwali is recognized around the world. It's also a national holiday in Singapore, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka. Cities outside Asia with large South Asian populations, such as Vancouver, Canada, also have festivals. The city of Leicester in the UK is home to the largest Diwali celebrations outside of India.
So the article starts by giving us a kind of a visual description of what is going on during this festival. It says, windows are brightened by tiny candles, strings of colored lights are draped across streets, and vibrant lanterns hang over doors. A lot of really great imagery there. You can kind of get a real sense this is full of lights and color and excitement. And all of these things, they brighten up the street. Brighten is a verb and it means to make something brighter or lighter. You can brighten something by adding light, or you can brighten something by adding something bright and colorful. For example, flowers will brighten a room. They're not actually bringing light, but they do make a room feel brighter and more colorful. You can just brighten a room by opening the window, for example, or opening the curtains.
There you go. And we also have this verb to drape. To drape is basically to say, take something sort of loose, like cloth, and kind of lay it over something to arrange it in a sort of beautiful, attractive looking way. You might drape a piece of clothing over your shoulder if you're not ready to put it on. If you're getting dressed in the morning, you might get your clothes ready and then drape them over a chair as you put them on slowly, piece by piece. We can also drape beautiful things to brighten a room. You might drape a blanket over the back of a chair or a sofa to add some color to the room and also just to lay it out nice and neatly so that it's ready to use. But basically, if you drape something, you're taking something loose, like a big piece of cloth or a jacket, something kind of loose with fabric, and you're laying it in an attractive or neat way over something else. Yeah. And we also had this word vibrant, which kind of relates back to that word brighten.
Or bright and light and colorful. Vibrant just means full of life, full of energy, and we often use it to mean bright and striking colors. We might describe rainforests or a big garden full of flowers as vibrant. But those colors, they make it feel full of life and full of energy. Okay, so we've got vibrant lanterns, we've got bright, colorful lights, we've got all of these. We've not even finished this first sentence yet.
That's right, and we also have this very important verb to hang. We were talking about lanterns hanging over doors. Well, when you put something and then it sort of drops down to the ground but stays in the air, it's held up by a string or attached to the wall by a nail, or it's maybe hanging from your ears like earrings, that is to hang. So it's attached at a higher point and then it's basically just loosely falling or loosely suspended underneath. Here's a good example that will give you a perfect idea. We hung some decorations from the Christmas tree. You hang decorations, right? You have that little hook, you put it on the tree, and then the beautiful ball. Notice there, though, that we spelt the verb a little differently.
Yes.
Hang is the present tense, and hung would be the two past tense forms we would use in this case. H-U-N-G instead of the normal H-A-N-G.
That is right. So with all these lights and colors and being draped everywhere and looking vibrant, what is going on? Well, the article gives us that in the next sentence. It says, this is Diwali, India's festival of light, when people come together to celebrate goodness, defeating evil and darkness. Oh, so festival of light, that's why there's all these lights and colors everywhere and people are celebrating. So yes, people are celebrating. The verb to celebrate means to hold a happy event. You could celebrate a birthday, you could celebrate a wedding, you could celebrate finishing all your exams at school and going off on your summer vacation. All of these are happy, so you celebrate, you do fun stuff. Here's an example sentence. After they graduated from high school, Gertrude and her classmates went out to celebrate. Maybe for a dinner, maybe for a KTV, but they're having fun. So that's celebrating, and here people are celebrating goodness and light, beating evil and darkness, or defeating it.
That's right. To defeat is pretty much the same as to beat. In other words, you're the winner, the other person is the loser. If one team in a sports contest, say, scores more goals or gets more points, they will beat or defeat the other team. We use this when talking about competitions, contests, a fight or a war. You could say one country defeated the other country in a war. The one that defeats is the one that wins, and the other one would be the loser.
Okay, so back to this celebration, which is the noun form of celebrate, as I just used. This 5-day celebration occurs every October or November, depending on the position of the moon. So like a lot of holidays, it does kind of change which day of the year it's on.
Yeah.
Think almost all Chinese or Taiwanese holidays, Chinese New Year, Dragon Boat, they all happen on different days each year.
Right.
Because it depends on the lunar calendar rather than the kind of regular
solar calendar. Yeah.
Okay, so we say this celebration occurs in October and November. The verb occur means to happen, to take place. It says it occurs in a place or it occurs at a time. Just gives you details on the place or time, something like that. Here's an example. Earthquakes occur in Taiwan quite often. So that gives us a place and a time, or a frequency at which these things happen.
Yes, and Pat just said there that this holiday depends on the calendar of the moon, or the lunar calendar. When something depends on something, it sort of needs that thing to work or to happen. All right, when we were talking about the date of this holiday, well, you don't just pick a number. It's not the same date every year. It changes. And why does it change? What does it base this change on? The lunar calendar. It depends on that. Now, in a much more direct and easy to understand way, we could say things like, children depend on their parents. They need their parents. Without the parents there, the kids would have trouble finding food and, having a place to stay and being taken care of. So one thing can't really work well without the other. We need the other thing to make the first thing work or to understand it or to have it happen. In that way, to go back to the original example, yeah, a lot of holidays both in Taiwan and it seems in India, the date of the holiday, it depends on, or we need this calendar of the moon to decide, to find out which day. Without that calendar, we don't know. And that's why every year I say, when is Chinese New Year this year? Because I don't really know. It depends on the lunar calendar. And on my iPhone, I have a normal calendar, the one of the sun, the solar, but there's no lunar calendar on my iPhone, so I can't figure this stuff out.
Yeah, it can be tricky, but as Mike said, Chinese New Year depends on the lunar calendar. Yeah. So does Diwali. And another thing that's similar is that Diwali, we say it, Diwali, marks the start of the Hindu New Year, though other religions in India also celebrate the holiday. So in that last sentence, we use the word though to present a contrast. We could use the word although in the same way. These words signal that what we just said or what we're about to say might be a surprise or unexpected. A contrast is being given. Diwali starts the Hindu New Year, so of course Hindus celebrate it. It's unexpected to think that people who follow other religions celebrate it too, so we start that clause with though. Here's another example. Sam likes to drink tea, though he doesn't really like coffee. There's a contrast between those things because we might expect if you like one, you probably like the other.
So we've been talking about this Hindu holiday, this holiday celebrated in India, and we've been using the name Diwali, but apart from being the name of the holiday, what else does that word mean? Well, yeah, it has a meaning, and we learn in the next sentence, the word Diwali means rows of lamps.
Okay.
Which makes sense, because we just read that that's the kind of thing you see around. All those lamps that are hanging in front of doors, well, there would be rows of them, lines of these lamps up and down the street, across the street, around buildings, all sorts of places. It's kind of a lantern festival.
A little bit,
basically.
Yeah. And as we saw in the first sentence of the article, the celebrations are full of colors and bright lights.
Sure.
Yeah, vibrant stuff everywhere.
You don't want a lantern festival with sort of weak gray lights.
No.
That'd be boring. Homes and shops are decorated with creative forms of lighting. Here's another sort of parallel or similarity with our lantern festival. They not only hang these beautiful lights, they get creative with them and how they use them to decorate their homes and shops. So it's not just your normal light. I guess they have, cartoon characters and characters from myth or legend, all
just
sorts
lots
of stuff.
Patterns and shapes.
That's right. The more creative you can, the better it will be to decorate with these beautiful lanterns. And what is it to decorate? To decorate basically is to make something more beautiful or attractive by adding things to it. Think of the Christmas tree. We already sort of mentioned it, but you can sort of imagine what a tree is, right? That wood part in the middle and the green parts on the outside. But a Christmas tree does not look like your ordinary tree, does it? No, because we decorate it. We put lights on it, we hang things on it, we put that silver stuff that sort of shines in the light. All of these things are added to the tree to make them more beautiful. People decorate themselves by putting on makeup or wearing jewelry or colorful clothes or things like that, doing their hair in interesting ways. If it's kind of plain and boring looking, decorate it. Add something to it to make it more attractive. For example, the kids decorated their classroom for Halloween, hanging up ghosts and goblins and, witches and things like that.
And that.
Black and orange things.
Okay, so we've got Diwali as this festival of light, but that's not the only thing that goes on.
Okay.
We see in the article that sweets and snacks are also part of the fun.
Have to have
as
food.
With any good holiday, really.
Sure, any good holiday needs good food as well. And on the final day, we learn sisters traditionally invite their brothers to their homes.
Okay,
Interesting. Something that's also similar to many holidays. We have some kind of family reunion.
Yeah.
But in here, it's not, the younger kids going back to visit the grandparents or the wife going home to see her family. It's sisters inviting their brothers or aunts inviting the uncles, if you're the children, over to each house. So the parents, I'm sure, are invited
yes,
too.
I imagine they are.
But generally, it's a time for brothers and sisters, or as we would call them, siblings. That's brothers and sisters both. Siblings to get together and have a reunion. That's a nice idea.
It certainly is.
I can't think of another holiday that brings together
brothers and sisters specifically? No.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now we move on to talk about it's not just India where this happens.
Sure.
So we see today, Diwali is recognized around the world.
Oh.
So the verb recognize can just mean to see something and know that thing or person, but here we're using it in a different way. We're using the word recognize to mean to acknowledge, to say that, okay, this is happening, we know it's going on, we agree that it's true, and we will kind of act as though this is a real fact. You're recognizing it as a true thing. So here's a good example. The island of Puerto Rico is recognized as a part of the United States. So even though it's not next to the rest of all the other states, people go, yes, that's part of the US. We agree that it is. You agree that it is. Everybody agrees that it is. We acknowledge and we recognize this fact. So apart from in India, obviously, where else is Diwali recognized?
Great question. And Indian people have spread to many parts, almost every part of the world. So, of course, you'll find people celebrating it in all sorts of countries and nations around. But here's a very interesting fact. Diwali, it's also a national holiday in Singapore, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka.
Okay, a lot of Hindus and Indian people.
Yeah,
there.
and these three countries are not India. These are different countries. So there you go. The little city-state, the little island country of Singapore, the much bigger country of Malaysia right next door, and Sri Lanka, that little island that you find in the ocean just to the southeast of India. In all of these places, not only is Diwali a thing, you'll see people hanging up their lanterns and that, but it's actually a national holiday. That means everybody gets the day off. Just like for us, 10-10, Double 10 Day is a national holiday. Schools, shops, businesses will probably be closed. Now we use this adjective national to talk about something to do with a country. All right, so most countries will have a national flag.
Yep.
If you see that flag, you know what country. A national anthem, a song they sing for their country. National leaders, presidents, prime ministers, kings and queens will be national leaders. All of these things are to do with a country, and if it's to do with a country, we use the adjective national. For example, the national flags of Australia and New Zealand look quite similar.
They do, actually, yes.
Just different stars.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not just in these countries, though. We also see that cities outside Asia with large South Asian populations, such as Vancouver in Canada, also have festivals.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All over. Now we use such as there. The such as is a phrase to give an example of the thing you've just mentioned. We talked about places with large South Asian populations. Vancouver's an example.
Sure.
We can use such as to link that together. Here's another one. There are many tasty snacks in this night market, such as pig's blood cake,
Yum, yum.
scallion pancakes, tongyaobing, huojiaobing. I could go on.
You could go on. So you're saying such as is used in kind of the same way or almost the same way as for example.
Yeah.
Right? We could say for example to give you more specific ideas. Now here's another place that you'll find people celebrating Diwali, and it's also not near India. It says the city of Leicester in the UK is home to the largest Diwali celebrations outside of India. So the Diwali party in Leicester, England is bigger than the Diwali party in Singapore or Malaysia, Sri Lanka, anywhere else.
Well done for pronouncing Leicester correctly. That's very hard to pronounce if you're not from the UK.
And it's home too when we use this phrase to be home to. That's basically where this thing comes from. It could be found in other places, but this is where it originated. This is where it started. This is the place you will find it. For example, Taipei is home to Taipei 101, one of the tallest buildings in the world.
Yeah, I should mention Leicester is very close to where I'm from, Nottingham. They're in the same part of England in the UK, and Leicester does have a very big South Asian population, as does Nottingham. So yeah, we kind of know when Diwali's going on because a lot of lights go up and there are fireworks and there are other things that are going on. So if you come from either of those cities, you can kind of tell what time of year it is sometimes by, okay, all this stuff's happening, all the Indian restaurants are kind of closed, there's lights and lanterns in other parts of the town. You go, Diwali's happening, that must be what's going on, and that's why it's happening. Okay, so that is the end of the first day of our 2-day article. We'll talk more tomorrow about the different sorts of things people will see and do during Diwali. We'll talk about one of the gods that's involved with the celebration. A lot of interesting stuff. But right now, we are going to finish up today by going to our For You Chat question.
All right.
For You Chat.
All right, so of course we've learned in our article that Diwali is one of the biggest holidays for the Hindu people, for the Hindu religion, and for Indian people, not just in India, but all around the world. So here's a country, India, here's their culture, and here's their holiday, Diwali. Now, pick a country or culture, our chat question asks. So think of one country or culture, which festivals are important to it, and do any other cultures have similar celebrations in the way that Lantern Festival and Diwali are kind of similar, but not the same?
Okay, well, I'm going to pick one that's kind of unusual.
Okay.
We have coming up next month is November the 5th, called Bonfire Night or Guy Fawkes Day.
Yes.
Now, this celebrates a time when someone was stopped from blowing up the UK government.
That's right,
He
they
was
stopped the terrorists.
Underneath it, the guy was about to light a load of bombs on fire, and they stopped him. And so ever since that day, we've had celebrations to kind of be glad for the fact the UK didn't get its parliament killed and have a civil war about it. Not many other countries have this celebration, but it's our day when we use fireworks and light big fires.
There you go.
And there are lots of other countries that have fireworks on their different days. 4th of July in the US uses big fireworks.
Right.
I think there might be some around some of the Muslim festivals.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of Chinese festivals have fireworks.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, around New Year's Day, Chinese New Year, kind of scaring off the evil things. So there are similarities in terms of how we celebrate it, but nothing that really says our country was kind of saved on this day.
Yeah,
maybe there are a few, but I can't think of any.
It is a very interesting holiday.
Yeah, it's quite specific to the UK.
There you go. So what about you guys? Can you think of a country or culture? You could choose your own country or culture, or if you know of one overseas from another part of the world that you find interesting, have a chat about that and see if you can sort of relate it or find other similar celebrations in other parts of the world. Have a chat. We'll see you back here tomorrow with much more about Diwali. Until then,
bye-bye.
Take care.
Diwali, India's festival of light. Windows are brightened by tiny candles, strings of colored lights are draped across streets, and vibrant lanterns hang over doors. This is Diwali, India's festival of light, when people come together to celebrate goodness defeating evil and darkness. This 5-day celebration occurs every October or November, depending on the position of the moon. It marks the start of the Hindu New Year, though other religions in India also celebrate the holiday. The word Diwali means rows of lamps. The celebrations are full of colors and bright lights. Homes and shops are decorated with creative forms of lighting. Sweets and snacks are also part of the fun. On the final day, Sisters traditionally invite their brothers to their homes. Today, Diwali is recognized around the world. It's also a national holiday in Singapore, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka. Cities outside Asia with large South Asian populations, such as Vancouver, Canada, also have festivals. The city of Leicester in the UK is home to the largest Diwali celebrations outside of India.
Vocabulary Review.
Hang. Patrick reached up and picked the apple that was hanging from the tree. Celebrate. Famous musicians performed the songs of Bob Dylan at a concert to celebrate his 75th birthday. Occur. About 2,000 earthquakes occur in Taiwan every year, though only a few hundred can be felt. Decorate. We decorated the house with balloons and ribbons for our mom's 60th birthday party. Recognize. The army did not recognize the elected president as their leader and forced him to leave the country. National. The Globe and Mail is Canada's national newspaper and is read by people all over the country.
智慧小补帖
Brighten. Drape. Vibrant. Defeat.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net